Okay, what I'm going to do is go over some of the material that's going to be on the EOC, try to set you guys up well for next week. Make this pretty short and sweet. So first we're going to talk about components of fitness. Okay, body composition. Now this is how much body fat there is compared to all other tissue in the body. So fat tissue to lean tissue. This can be affected by diet, so calories in, and then how much you work out or calories out. Then we have cardiorespiratory endurance. This is how well the body delivers oxygen to all its cells. Okay, this is how well the heart and the lungs work together to deliver oxygen to the cells and to remove carbon dioxide from the body. We have muscular strength. This is how much force a muscle can generate. The way we train this is with high weight and low reps. We have muscular endurance, which is how long a muscle can continually work. This is trained with low weight and high reps. Then we have flexibility, which is how well the body's joints move through their full range of motion. Benefits exercise, reduces stress, improves sleep, and helps you maintain a healthy weight. So let's talk about training considerations. So training goals. Okay, what are we training for? So first let's talk about training for power. Usually for training for power, you're going to keep the reps relatively low. So you're looking at 1 to 5 reps, and you're going to do 85% or higher of your 1 rep max. For strength, you're going to do 6 to 10 reps at 75 to 85% of your 1 rep max. For hypertrophy, which means making the muscles get larger, 8 to 12 reps at 70 to 80% of the 1 rep max. And then for endurance, 15 or more reps at 60% or less of a 1 rep max. Now let's talk about sets and reps. A rep is an execution of one movement. So if I'm doing a bicep curl, it's one time curling up and then extending my arm. A set is a collection of reps. The way we usually see this written is like this. Usually it's sets first and then reps. So we have 3 sets of 10 repetitions. So say we're doing a squat, we're going to do 1 set of 10, break, 1 set of 10, break, 1 set of 10, break, for 3 sets of 10 repetitions. Another way you might say it, 4 of 8, or 5 by 5. These are all different ways, but it's all sets first, reps second. So let's talk about machines versus free weights. In class, you see that we mostly do free weights, or we all need to do free weights. Why? Because it engages more muscle. It forces you to use stabilizing muscles. So what it does is you're actually recruiting more muscle every time you train when you're using free weights. Machines are good for isolation movements. For when you want to work just a single muscle group or less muscle groups, machines are preferred for at the end of a workout when you're fatigued and your body can't stabilize itself as well. You can use machines to overload a muscle and decrease the chance of injury at that point in your workout. Let's talk about training organization. Okay, first thing you want to do is warm up. You want to warm up 3 to 5 minutes prior to your workout. The reason we want to do this is because it increases the temperature of the muscles, but it also increases the activity of the neurological system, so it allows us to have a better workout and generate more force because the nervous system is activated. After we do our 3 to 5 minute warm up, next we go to the workout, which is where we get most of the work done. The way we structure the workout is we want to work larger muscles first. So we want to do our squats, our bench presses, our big movements first. Because what happens is when we use those large muscles, those small muscles, the stabilizing muscles, have to work to help us do that movement. If we use the smaller muscles first and then went to large muscles, it would increase our chance of injury because those would be fatigued. That's one reason why a lot of times when we're going real heavy, I prefer to do abs at the very end of class and not at the beginning, because those abdominal muscles are important for stabilization during heavy movements. And then at the end of your workout, you want to have a cool down where you're lowering heart rate, decreasing body temperature, and bringing yourself down to a resting state. Now let's talk about different types of muscles. Right, real quick anatomy overview. So first let's talk about lower body. Okay, first we have quads or quadriceps. It's a collection of 4 muscles on the front of the thigh. What it does is it straightens the leg at the knee, but it also bends at the hip. So it'll straighten the leg and bend the hip. We have hamstrings, which are on the back of the thigh. What they do is they bend the knee and then they straighten out the hip. And finally we have glutes, which are these muscles here. These are the most powerful muscles that we have, and they also help to straighten at the hip. Okay, next we have posterior back muscles. First, latissimus dorsi. It's these muscles right here these wings, these are trained with things like deadlift, pull-ups, lat pulls, those type of movements. Then we have trapezius, which are these muscles right here. This runs from the back of your skull down to over the top of your shoulder, your deltoid, and then down to the center of the back and then back up. So what this does is the trapezius helps you with shoulder movement, elevating your shoulders, shrugging up. And this is worked with doing things like upright row, shrugs, cleans, deadlifts, all work trapezius. And then we also have the rhomboids, which actually lie underneath the trapezius and the latissimus dorsi on both sides of the spine. And what these do is these are the muscles you use to help pull your shoulder blades together. One thing that's not seen here that's also posterior is your tricep, which is the back of the upper arm. And then we have the front. So we have the pectoralis major, which is right here. So that's the large part of the chest that you can actually see. There's a little part underneath the pectoralis minor that is not visible that runs underneath the pectoralis major. Now this is trained with bench press, push-ups, dumbbell presses. Also on the front we have the deltoid, which is the shoulder. Shoulder presses, upright rows, front raise, side raise is how we train that. And then on the front we have bicep as well. Bicep is trained with bicep curls and those type of things. So next we're going to talk about different exercises. We have push-pull exercises. A push exercise is anytime we're pushing weight away from our body or pushing against something. A pull exercise is when we're pulling things towards us and working the posterior. So the difference between push and pull exercises is push exercises tend to work more of the front of the body and the pull tends to work the back. So squat would be considered a push exercise. Bench press, a push exercise. Right? We're pushing away. Pull exercises are things like lat pulls, deadlifts, cleans would be considered pulls. So let's talk about some basic exercises that we do and what they train. First, we have squats. First squats is we train the quadriceps, we train the glutes, and we also train the hamstrings. Deadlifts, we train mostly its hamstrings, glutes, latissimus dorsi, and trapezius. Bench press, we are training the pectoralis major, the deltoids, and the triceps. Pull up, we're going to train latissimus dorsi and the biceps. A curl is working the biceps. Now let's talk about breathing real quick too while we're doing this. So when you are training, what you want to do is take a deep breath in prior to doing your lift. And once you get halfway through that repetition, you start to breathe out. What this does is actually generates more pressure in your abdominal cavity and allows you to generate more force. But the big thing we want to do is we still want to breathe while we work out. We do not want to hold our breaths because the muscles are working and we have to have oxygen for them to respond to the work. Soreness. Why do we get sore? So soreness happens mainly because we have breakdown of muscle tissue, causes inflammation, and it causes the muscles to hurt. So we have microscopic tears or damage to the muscle, and that's what causes soreness. I want to talk about the importance of rest. So we have to rest after our workouts. Usually we want to wait 48 hours in between training the same muscle group. The reason this is we have to allow that muscle to rebuild itself. If we hit it too soon, we're actually going to start going backwards. We're not going to see results. We also want to rest in between sets. What we're trying to do is we're trying to fatigue the muscle. We take a short rest, allowing it to recuperate a little bit, and then we hit it again, and it allows us to get more work out of the muscle. But rest is the most important part of the workout because this is what allows the body to recuperate. This is actually the time in which you get stronger. Okay, now let's talk about exercise through life. Starting out. When we start out working out, we want to make sure we start with relatively low amounts of work. 2 sets of 10 is a real common one I use. For people who have not been doing anything, 1 set of 10 is sometimes enough. We're going to start with very simple movements and we're going to go really light. Now, when you have a well-trained person, you can work out harder. You can do 5 sets of 10, 6 sets of 10, heck, sometimes 10 sets of 10. Okay, that's a well-trained person, which is what you guys were prior to the coronavirus. Now, as we come back into summer weights or you guys start working out again, you've pretty much turned into untrained athletes. And so what you need to do is we need to decrease the workload and go back to lighter weight, maybe higher reps, and work more on the endurance aspect of things before we start working up towards max strength and power. Now let's talk when you're young versus old. When you're young, your body recuperates faster And so you can work out harder, you can work out longer, and you see results faster. As you get older, the results come more slowly. It may take longer for you to recuperate. And if you haven't been training very much, say you trained a lot when you were younger and you had a large break and you're just returning to it, you're going to come back and you're going to be weaker and you're going to have worse endurance. And so you're going to have to work up slowly to improve both of those aspects before you can start training even close to where you were before. This should give you the gist of the information you need for the final. A lot of the stuff you guys already know. And so I just try to touch on some of the finer points so you guys should be in a good shape. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, take care.